Fear. Fear stops so many people from doing so many things. Big or small, it can quietly shape our entire lives, like an invisible hand steering the wheel. It controlled me, and maybe it still does. The fear of not truly living, the fear of wasting time, and the fear of never beginning. For my 26th birthday, I made a decision that scared me more than I realized at the time. I booked my first trip outside of the country, alone. It was one of the most rewarding gifts that I've ever given myself, but it was also lonely. Lonely in a way that I didn't know I could be. If you're lonely when you're alone, that's the worst kind of company. I heard someone say this once, and I think it's true. But here's the thing. There's a kind of freedom that comes with being alone. You're the only one in control of how you feel, and that's a beautiful thing. Yet, it's also a scary one. And living to me means seeing the world, experiencing it in every way that I can, all of its sights, smells, and sounds, all of its people, their languages, their laughs, their stories, finding where my heart feels most at home. Taking pictures of strangers and things because there's no one to take them of, and taking pictures and videos of myself because there's no one to take them for me, trying new foods with no one to share them with, and seeing new landscapes with no one to marvel at them beside me. This is solo travel, and it's one of the loneliest things that I've ever done, but it's also been one of the most transformative. In that loneliness, I found something extraordinary, the kind of growth that I didn't know I needed. I've shared meals with strangers, had long, slightly drunk conversations about life, about nothing, with people I barely knew. And in those moments, I felt more alive than I ever did in comfort. When I got back home from that birthday trip, I didn't feel done. I didn't feel ready to go back to the life that I knew before. So almost without thinking, I booked another ticket. I craved more adventure, more uncertainty, more of the kind of different that makes you feel alive. But then life reminded me how fragile it truly is. My health took a turn. And suddenly, instead of packing a suitcase, I was strapped to an IV in a hospital bed, counting ceiling tiles, listening to machines beep, and wondering how everything could have changed so fast. That experience introduced me to a new kind of lonely. Not the kind that you choose, but the kind that chooses you. The kind that forces you to sit with yourself and to notice who shows up and who doesn't. It strips everything down, leaving you with nothing but the truth. About yourself, about your life, about the people in it. I had a lot of time to think in that bed, and for the first time, I really understand why people choose to stay comfortable. Why they choose the familiar, the safe, the mapped out. Because when your body betrays you, and when your plans fall apart in an instant, it's terrifying. You start to think, what if it happens again? What if I'm somewhere far away and can't get help? What if I make things worse by chasing something more? I really started to understand those fears, and I still do, intimately and painfully. But I also realized something else, that if life can change in a blink of an eye, and if everything that you know can be ripped away without warning, why would you wait to live it? If you have the want to do something, then that should be enough. The rest, the how, the when, the fear, you figure it out as you go. Life will test you. It's supposed to. It'll ask you, how far are you willing to go to live the life that you really want? That's what it means to feel alive. But I used to think that seeing the world wasn't for people like me, that it was reserved for someone richer, braver, freer. I had never left the country before this year, and honestly, I had barely left my home state until I was about 22. The idea of seeing the world, that's never going to happen to me. I remember thinking that over and over again. But then it did, because I was done waiting for it to happen. I needed to start my journey in experiencing this beautiful planet that we get to call home. But it's funny how experiencing new places almost always seems to work. What's one person's everyday, their routine walk to work, that cafe on the corner that they don't think twice about, the view from their apartment window, they all become someone else's first memory, a first taste, a first story, something that they may even remember forever. It makes you slow down. It makes you see differently. Because when you realize that you're standing in the middle of someone else's ordinary, you start to appreciate how truly extraordinary even the smallest things can be. Not because they're new or extravagant, but because they're real. And maybe that's a universal feeling. Maybe that's why so many of us crave something more. Because even from those who won't admit it, we've all felt held back by something. By fear, by circumstance, by the quiet belief that this is as good as it gets. Why? Because we get taught to stay safe, to stay comfortable, to follow the map. And what if comfort is its own kind of trap? And what if fear isn't just the thing that keeps us safe, but the thing that keeps us small? That's another thing that I'm scared of, getting too comfortable, too settled, too stuck. Scared of being told that I'm not worthy of the life that I dream of, that I'm not capable enough. We only get one life, just one, and that life is already happening, whether we're fully in it or not. So maybe it's not about silencing fear completely. Maybe it's just about choosing not to listen to it as much, choosing something bigger, curiosity, possibility, choosing yourself. I'm learning that one life doesn't mean that we need to rush anything. It just means that we need to wake up, to notice, to be brave enough to ask, what if it's all out there waiting for me and I just have to go find it? This is Fear in Flight. This is me choosing movement over stillness, freedom over fear, and this is just the beginning.
Could you see my hair?
Where did she go? No, I mean, not anymore.
No, like, could you?
Yeah, I like that.
You did? I just don't want, when I fade into black, I just don't want you to have to see me actually.
No, yeah, I can't see shit. I just out the window.